0.2.
Ahead of August World Championships in Taipei. It was a strong field in the men's event. Just so we saw the turn of the women, which was won by Jana Marquez just from Laura Asotaskaitia, who finishes second behind her in the combined, making up over a minute. 24 competitors, only 36 competing in World Cup or Olympic events. A shortened program here. All the competitors, and we can pick up the action with Nicholas Woodbridge from Great Britain. Oh, Great Britain have produced some excellent young modern pentathletes in both the men's and women's disciplines. Saw Jamie Cook memorably win earlier this season. Setting a new world record on the way. Woodbridge, another hope for the British team. Not the best fence though for him. Riccardo De Luca from Italy. 16th in the fencing overall. 20 victories with 26 defeats. Fencing, one of the hardest disciplines really for the athletes. It's just because it goes on for so long. Really, it's tough for them to keep their concentration for over a couple of hours. Try and get themselves motivated constantly towards each bout. It's Blagoy Dimitrov from Bulgaria. Decent fencer. Doesn't really set the senior modern pentathlon scene alight. Often let down by a perhaps weakish combined. But he did finish 12th at the recent World Cup final in Nizhny Novgorod. Decent fencer, and gets the victory there against his Korean opponent Hwang Woo-jin. Pavel Tymoshenko from Ukraine has had a very good season. Won in Chengdu in the third World Cup event of the 2013 season. Faded a bit since then. Probably won't be that happy with his fencing results. Below 50% average. Well, all Ukraine have had an excellent 2013 campaign in the World Cup, especially on the women's side, with Victoria Tereshchuk winning twice, and her compatriot Jana Buryak also winning back-to-back events in Chengdu and Budapest. But that man needs no introduction whatsoever. Alexander Lissoun is leading after fencing. Fantastic all-round athlete. He won the Kremlin Cup here last season. Disappointed to finish fourth at the London Olympics, where he started perhaps a hot favourite. He's had a mixed season so far, Lissoun. Won in Palm Springs in the first World Cup events, but he's had a lot of problems with the riding since then. An excellent finish to this fencing campaign, Lissoun. Fourth place right until the last few bouts, but really picked up down the stretch to catapult himself into first. Some treatment there from the coaching staff. There's Ilya Frolov from Samara, very bubbly character. In contrast to Lissoun. He started off very well in the fencing, but faded towards the end. Well, Frolov really has lived in the shadow of Andrei Moiseev and Alexander Lissun. But with Moisev's retirement, a chance for Frolov to establish himself as one of the best in the world. He started, of course, on selection for the 2012 Olympics. There's Justinas Kinderis from Lithuania. He's had an excellent season. He picked up after Palm Springs, where he finished outside the top 20, but Kinderis finishing second in Nizhny Novgorod. Very good all-round athlete. Lithuania, such a small country, producing some fantastic modern pentathletes. Stefan Kölner from Germany. Won't be too happy with his fence. Just 14 victories and 32 defeats, putting the German way down the standings. Germany don't really seem to have the same depth in men's modern pentathlon as they do in the women's. Schönenbaum and Kohlmann. Alexander Nobis really their leading light. There's Denis Shkovskis. He, along with Jelena Rublevska, won the team event in Nizhny Novgorod. Vast experience campaigner, the Latvian. But slightly disappointing fence from him. Victory there. Very likable athlete. And Amro El Ghaziri from Egypt. Well, we all know about his swimming abilities. Constantly battling out with Jamie Cook. See who's king of the pool. Good fencer as well. Ghaziri, unfortunately for him, he's often let down by his combined, which is by far his weakest event. He's normally in very good positions following the combined. Sorry, following the riding. Maxim Kustov from Russia. Good fence from him. 26 victories, 20 defeats. Youngster from Izhevsk. Been living in Moscow and training in the Russian capital for about a year and a half. Real new hope for Russian modern pentathlon. Trying to take over mantle from the likes of Lissun and Frolov in coming years. Try fourth at the World Junior Championships. And it's well placed after the first event. Robert Kasha, good to see the Hungarian back on the big stage. Was second at the Kremlin Cup last year. Let's play perhaps second fiddle somewhat to Adam Maroshi in recent years, but Kasha, in his own right, more than competent modern pentathletes. As always, the Hungarians very strong in the fencing discipline.
Secret, I always want to win because this is why I came to win, and every against someone, I just want to get his touch. I mean, collect the points. Yes, no, actually there is a lot of disciplines yet. I mean, the swimming and all of the stuff, and honestly, I'm second, and if I can reach the podium at the end, I will be happy.
So just confirmation of the results after fencing. Lissun out on top. He's got a big lead, in fact, over his nearest rival, Robert Kasha. 36 victories for the reigning world champion. Pavel Timoshenko way down the standings. Also Valentin Pradz, who shocked everyone really by winning the World Cup final in Nizhny Novgorod, finding himself outside, way down the standings. And we can pick up the action in the pool in the second heats, where Lissun, current leader of the first event, is competing along with Valentin Prads and Denis Chukovskis. The heat was won by by Pate from France. To move him up slightly up the standings. Third heat featuring Robert Kasha and Ilya Frolov and Justinas Kinderis. More than capable swimmers in this heat. Lane 3. Robert Kasha easily coming home in first place. That's a good result too for Frolov, keeping himself well in contention. Move to a final heat. I guess it's really for who would win this. Amro El Ghaziri, absolutely dominant in the pool. Fine swimmer. It's a bit of a shame for El Ghaziri, but he just can't improve his combined. Otherwise, really, he would be an athlete to be reckoned with. Good result for Nicholas Woodbridge as well, the Brits. Comes from a swimming background, and he would finish second behind El Ghaziri in a time of just over 2 minutes. El Ghaziri coming home in 1 minute 59 points. 1-3.
It was really tough. Wasn't one of my best swimming today. I was 1:59. My best race is 1:55, so it was a little bit slow for me. You know, it's a very tough competition. Fencing was really hard, so I hope this will be better.
So, just confirmation of the results. After the first two disciplines, Alexander Lissoun still in the lead. His lead has been cut by 10 seconds by El Ghaziri, thanks to his excellent swim. Woodbridge pushing himself up the standings after a good swim as well. And we can join the action now with the riding live. It's brightened up a bit in Moscow over the last hour or so. It's been very cloudy during the morning. Up the action with riding and Tibolia from Hungary. I'm glad to say that I'm joined by Margot Isaacson.
Hi everybody, it's nice to be here.
From Arkansas in the United States of America.
That's correct.
Margot, how are you back in Russia? I know you competed in Nizhny Novgorod a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I was happy to be back. I got to enjoy a few days back home, 10 days, so it was quite a short trip, and then flew in the day before the competition, so flew in on Friday, unfortunately without my baggage. So yesterday was interesting. I was rummaging around trying to borrow whatever I could, but turned out okay. And I mean, the Kremlin Cup is always such a wonderful event. They do a really wonderful job. All the spectators here are amazing, the crowd and cheering for everybody. So it was really a wonderful event, and it's exciting to be here watching the boys today.
Yeah. I mean, were you pleased with your result yesterday? I mean, you've had a good season, I mean, overall.
Yeah, I feel like this has kind of been the season of almost there. Yesterday, of course, was interesting. I wasn't shooting with my own pistol. I had flown in the day before, so really wasn't in top form. But like I said, was just here for the fun and to collect a few extra dollars to take home. So yeah, all in all, my season's been quite all right. I think I'm focusing on Worlds right now, and hopefully I'll bring home a medal. That's my goal. but if not, then just enjoying the ride. It's the year after the Olympics, so I think I'm trying to be a little bit more relaxed this season.
This is good preparation for the Worlds. I mean, the Worlds are coming up in August.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Taipei.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm quite excited, and fortunately I get to go home, and we have almost 2 months before, so good preparation time and kind of get fit and start another training peak.
Okay, well, we can rejoin the action with the riding. That was Peter Cebolia from Hungary. And next up, Justin Kinderis. I mean, remember Kinderis in Nizhny Novgorod, second place for the Lithuanian. And he really has developed this season after, I think, finishing 24th in Palm Springs. Since then, he's really hit on. Have you been surprised about his development?
I can't say I was surprised. I mean, he's had some really great results in the past. He's one of the best people as far as the men go in the combined. He's an incredibly fast runner, and it depends on how well he can do in the other events. But as far if he can go in, I mean, top 10 really before the combined, I mean, he has a good chance at a medal here. I'd say that the top 10, looking at the leaderboard right now, really anybody could win. It looks like everybody's pretty close. Lassoon and El Jaziri seem to have a pretty significant lead on everybody. But I mean, like I said, the top 10 are really all strong athletes, so it should be an exciting rest of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw in the women's event yesterday, I mean, a lot of the riders went clear. I mean, during the men's event today, we've seen quite a few of the riders having a lot of problems. I mean, is it just they're not adapting to the horses?
I'd have to see the horse list. I don't know how many of the horses went yesterday that are the same horses here today. I know that really a lot of the horses here were phenomenal, and the women rode pretty well for the most part. There were some riders that, you know, could have been better, that probably need a little improvement, but from what I'm seeing right now, as you go up the leaderboard, a lot of these athletes will be more experienced riders if they've probably been doing pentathlon a little bit longer, especially on the senior ride. Kinderis looks like he's riding pretty well. This horse seems a little bit slow. Seems like he needs to pick up the front feet a little bit, as he might pull a couple rails here, but seems to be going nicely so far. I believe they've gone clean so far. So going into the last triple, if he's gonna need to keep some good pace through here, but they should.
Yeah, pretty horrible approach.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he just got his stride pattern wrong. Really, he stuttered into the first one.
You could definitely see it coming around the corner, especially the last turn as you make this left-hand turn. The last 3 strides going into the triple, you really need to make sure that your horse has pace going into these fences, because you have 3 in a row with 1 stride in between. You really need to keep your pace up.
Because also, I mean, we were seeing some fantastic times yesterday. I mean, the time limit for women yesterday was 1:09, but you were seeing riders going clean in sort of under a minute, which really is absolutely phenomenal.
I think the key to this course, especially with the turns, was making sure you were getting good approaches and making sure that you really knew where you were going, because there were a couple tricky turns, there were a couple tricky lines, and I told my sister, we didn't have a coach here, so I had the pleasure of warming her up. Yeah. I told her, I said, look and see where you're going and keep a good pace around the course. So I think that was really the key, and if you could do that, keep your horse upright, then I mean there shouldn't be too many problems. Like I said, a lot of the horses are really great, and the course was, I would say, relatively easy. So
it's good to have your sister along competing with you, just to have someone.
It really is. Yeah. 2 years ago I came by myself, and it's really, I mean, there's, you know, the pentathlon community is really a close-knit community. You know a lot of the same people, but to have your sister here, it's like, you know, having your best friend at every competition. So it's really been phenomenal. It's really nice having her on the circuit. And
how developed is modern pentathlon in the United States? Because I mean, obviously you have your big 4 sports, and you have the likes of soccer, tennis, golf, and modern pentathlon probably doesn't get much of a look in. Is it improving in terms of viewing figures, or?
Honestly, I think, like you said, with the bigger sports, medals, even if you medal at the Olympics, which unfortunately we haven't had any medalists in quite some time, they have a tendency to get overlooked because we have so many medals in swimming, track and field. I think that hopefully the USA Pentathlon is doing their best effort, making their best efforts to improve the notoriety of our sport, but it is quite difficult. Which horse is this?
We haven't got the name of a horse, but it's Maxim Shestyuk from Russia, another emerging Russian.
Okay. I know, they seem to just come out of the woodwork. It seems like every year they have another really strong athlete. I think this is...
Shestyuk is coming out to the safe fence, where the women had quite a few problems yesterday. Shestyuk had quite a few problems getting control of the horse. Like going the approach, just leaving it a bit late there.
Rhythm, yeah?
is on the horse, Rhythm. And just one knockdown so far for Shestyuk. Over that final fence. And a good ride from a Russian, well inside the time limits.
Good ride.
Yeah. I mean, have you been a bit surprised by the Russians? They've had a lot of problems with their horses in the riding this season. The likes of very experienced riders like Alexander Lissun, Ilya Frolov. They've all had problems with the riding. Have you been a bit surprised by that?
Sorry, it's hard to hear. I think that because they have so many strong athletes coming up, especially from running and swimming, I think that the riding is the last thing that they really focus on. But the more experienced athletes obviously have really improved their riding. I think when you see Lissun come into the ring, you can tell the athletes have been on horses for a lot longer. But I said, coming in with so many amazing athletes. Like I said, riding I think is the last thing they focus on. But I think they're really doing a good job putting their phenomenal athletes and turning them into riders.
How did you get into modern pentathlon? I mean, what sort of background did you come from?
I actually began all the sports within 6 months of each other. I grew up riding horses. I actually grew up riding Western on a farm in Arkansas. And my little sister wanted to start fencing. So we went into our local fencing club and started fencing. And I had just started running as well in my high school. So my fencing coach suggested, he was like, well, you ride and you run and you're dabbling at fencing. Why don't you give pentathlon a try?
And you never looked back.
And I never looked back.
Well, this is Dmitry Lukács from Russia, another young Russian competing.
This horse looks very honest. He looks like he just wants to go over the fences. He's taking him to him. It looks like he's making an effort to keep him collected, but this horse looks like he can just put in the distance and go over the fences from anywhere.
Absolutely. Lukács is doing absolutely the right thing. He's letting the horse do the work. He's got a good, quick horse.
He's got a quick horse. Needs to keep him collected, sit back a little bit. I would suggest releasing a little bit more over the fences, as the horse seems to be pulling some rails with his back feet. Looks like he's got some
very quick horse and a very true horse.
Yeah.
I mean, which horse did you ride yesterday?
I think I rode Krasnik, yeah. Wasn't one of my better rides, I have to say. The horse was brilliant, really great. We
just had the one knockdown, didn't you?
just had the one knockdown. Jump number 3, I think we got a little bit fast. Some horses you bond with and some you don't. Some it's just a little bit harder to feel the distance. Unfortunately for me, I wouldn't say that I was going with the horse as much as I wanted to. I haven't been on a horse actually since Nizhny Novgorod, so I think that it was definitely my error as far as the rail was concerned, but you live and you learn, and some rides are better than others. So
well, this is Blagoy Dimitrov. Hasn't really set the World Modern Pentathlon scene alight, never featured on the podium, but a decent athlete, let down sometimes by his combined, and so he'll be looking to pick up as many points as possible.
I would have loved to have ridden this horse yesterday. He's great. He goes a little bit long, takes the long spot, but is really honest. You can see going to the fences, he just wants to go over them. Oh, he's great. Picks up his feet nicely.
I mean, how difficult is it for you guys when you get acquainted with a horse and you just have about 20 minutes or so, a few practice jumps?
It's definitely, looks like he might have
just
forgotten
the wrong turning.
Where he was going there.
He's going to pick up probably a few time penalties.
That's what I said on this course. You really have to make sure you're looking where you're going, because landing right off number 8, you almost have to be landing and turning, or else you will miss that fence. It was really difficult. It just, to me, honestly, this horse looks like he's
got a mind of his own, really.
He's got a mind of his own. He wants to go to the fences, but if you're not directing him and telling him where to go, then it's it's hard for the horses to they need direction. Their followers are herd animals. They want somebody on their back that's going to tell them what to do and really give them the confidence.
Yeah, because he's
need.
Clearing these fences absolutely with no problem whatsoever.
He is.
But it's just a lack of direction really from the rider.
And that just comes with experience. I mean, like you said, you have some rides that are better than others, and it just really seems like he probably is nervous.
Yeah, and he's quite high up with the reins. I mean, he seems to just be sort of balancing himself with the mouth almost.
Yeah, you can tell he's probably very new to riding.
So that was a bit of a wild ride.
Bit of a wild ride.
So So there's the 3 knockdowns for Dimitrov and quite a few time penalties as well.
I think he's past the finish line, so I don't think he gets penalized for the fall as long as he gets back on.
Yeah,
Which he's back on the horse, so
944 points for him. That's probably knocked him well out of contention.
well, yeah. But that's pentathlon.
Absolutely.
Gotta be good at all 5.
Right, we're up to number 7 next, Wu Jin Huang. Koreans really have developed quite strongly in modern pentathlon over the last few years or so. I mean, one of our athletes, I think, was third at the World Championships in Rome in 2012. It's Mina Jung, I think, on the women's side. I mean, she's an up-and-coming athlete on the
Absolutely.
men's
She's
side as well.
great, good fencer, solid swimmer, I think quite good shooter as well. But I remember in Taiwan for Junior World Championships in 2009, I believe the Koreans were maybe 1 and 2 on the men's side, and that was really when I realized, wow, these athletes are going to be great. And then you've seen them come along in the senior circuit as well. But I think that the Korean development program is really phenomenal from what I understand. My coach has done a few coaches clinics over there, and he says they just have a lot of really great up-and-coming athletes, and they seem like they really invest a lot in pentathlon there.
Just give us the rails there. But I mean, in the United States, I mean, do you have good funding? Do you have good facilities?
We have phenomenal facilities. We train in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, so we really have world-class facilities. I think the biggest problem for us is just it's not a very well-known sport, so we really struggle with getting training partners and a lot as far as like the youth and junior development goes. But I think hopefully pentathlon has taken a look at where we need to be focusing our development, done some more to get some more athletes in the program.
Well, Huang having quite a few problems so far. We'll just see how he goes on the turn here. He approaches fence 9.
The Koreans are very kind riders. When you watch them ride, as you can see, they need a little bit more experience, but they let the horse do their thing. And the Japanese and the Korean both, they know how to just sit there. I say that sometimes they can be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more proactive. So that's a finished course.
Shame.
It is a shame. I think he's a phenomenal, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not too familiar with this athlete.
Yeah, no, he's done very well in the riding during the World Cup season this year. I mean, it's really his combined that's let him down, but he's normally a very efficient rider, and it's quite a surprise to see because, I mean, yesterday, I think certainly during the women's riding, I mean, there were very few refusals, from what I remember from the more experienced athletes.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it's unfortunate because as we sit here, I think a lot of times the pentathlon riders get a lot of flack from other riders, you know. But what you have to understand is this is our horse. You know, you've known this horse for 20 minutes. You don't train singly for riding. We're training for 4 other events as well. So it's hard to be able to sit here and judge an athlete on what you see in one single ride.
This is Ilya Frolov on the horse Legion. Frolov also had quite a few problems with his riding this season, but everyone knows what an experienced and excellent athlete he is.
He's an excellent athlete, and I've seen him really improve his riding in the 6 years that I've been doing pentathlon. He's really improved. This horse I have actually had the pleasure of riding in previous pentathlon competitions, and he is phenomenal. You got to keep your leg on, but he's really is honest, and if you give him the confidence he needs to get over the jumps, I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that Frolov should give him a really good ride here. So
the horses stay the same pretty much from competition to competition. So like in 2012, 2011, when you were competing here, it's exactly the same horses.
In Russia and Hungary, you will see a lot of the same horses. A lot of them are pentathlon horses, and then some of them are just the riders' horses. But they always provide phenomenal horses for us to ride most of the time. So, and in Nizhny, you saw a lot of the horses from here in Moscow as well. Got a little close coming into that fence, but he pulled it off, and like I said, the horse is really honest, so if he can just keep his leg on here.
Final triple.
1, 2, clean ride.
Excellent ride from Ilya Frolov. Goes through clean in a time of 1 minute as well. That's really going to catapult him up the standings.
I would really love to see Frolov do well here. He unfortunately had a bad ride in Nizhny Novgorod and ended up 4th. I think he struggled with the shooting in the final, but you know, in your home country, especially. I think he trains here in Moscow. It'd be really nice. I'd love to see the Russians bring home a medal here.
I mean, how much does I mean, you had the first World Cup event in Palm Springs. I mean, how much has that helped to sort of try and develop the sport in the US? Has it had a lot of interest?
I think it has interest, and I do think that Palm Springs did a really wonderful job of advertising pentathlon, and I think we're gonna hopefully host another World Cup there next year. So I think it's just having more competitions there, kind of getting the word out. I think the plan is to go to, you know, USA Swimming, maybe USA Track and Field, USA Fencing, and work with the other national governing bodies to hopefully to get some notoriety of the sport in America, because I think the biggest problem is just that people just don't even know what it is.
Exactly, because I mean, you have some phenomenal athletes in the United States. I mean, you have some of the best facilities in the world. You have some of the best swimmers in the world as well.
Yeah.
And to try and get into the US swim team is pretty much it's nigh impossible, just
Right.
because of how good you guys are.
USA Pentathlon has been trying to recruit some swimmers. We have one girl that started training with us who was a national, or not national team swimmer, but a college swimmer, and we have another boy he's really got a lot of talent, Logan Story. You'll probably see him on the senior circuit, hopefully here within the next couple of years, who, I mean, he's coming in swimming a 152. He's a great runner, and so if we can just get the skill sports, you should see some great things from him. So.
Absolutely, because you can't really teach someone how to swim, or just to swim faster. I mean, it's much harder, yeah.
I mean, I started swimming when I was 14, and I think broke the paradigm, so to speak, as far as being able to come back. Of course, I'm not a great swimmer, but I've managed to hold my own in swimming, but you rarely see that happen. It's much harder, from what I understand, to start swimming at an older age when someone's been swimming since they were 5.
That's a good ride so far from Maxim Kustov, another young Russian who's had a decent season. Youngster from Izhevsk. Was third actually in Palm Springs way back in February, but unfortunately for him, he had a poor ride. Not the same here though.
That was a great ride for him. Great horse. That's a big guy. Got a lot of Russians here in the top 10.
It's quite surprising. I mean, one of the things that surprised me was a lot of Chinese athletes earlier in the year in Palm Springs, in Rio, and in Chengdu.
We haven't really seen much of them.
And we haven't seen them since, have we? Since their home event.
Maybe they're resting up, getting ready for World Championships in Taiwan. I'm sure you'll see some great things from the Chinese.
Up next is Robert Kasher. Good to see him back.
It is good to see him back. He had quite a fall in Rio. It was really hard to watch. From what I understand, he broke his collarbone. So it's amazing to see him here back so quickly. But one of the world's best athletes, in my opinion. He's a great fencer, wonderful swimmer. He's a very talented rider. He's really great, and I think that you'll definitely see some amazing things from him in the future. And it's amazing he's been able to come back as quickly as he has.
Oh, Kasher was second here at the Kremlin Cup last year. Not the most confident start to his ride, I was said.
Pardon?
Not the most confident starts, but he's getting over these fences.
Yeah,
he's picked it up actually over the last couple of fences.
I mean, I think when you have a bad fall like that and you suffer a bad riding injury, you do lose a little of your confidence, and that's part of pentathlon and especially part of riding. You have to be able to give the horse confidence as well, and they can feel if you're nervous.
Fence number 8.
You can see he's trying to keep his leg on the horse. He does seem a little hesitant, but so far,
horse is helping him out, certainly.
I have to compliment all of the Hungarians on their riding skills. I mean, Adam Morosi is probably one of the top riders. He rides beautifully and very effectively, and Robert's given this guy a good ride as well.
He's gone clear. Excellent ride by Robert Kasher in a time of 1 minute and 5 seconds. No time penalties for him. I think a lot of these top 10 athletes in the top 10 going clear. And we saw it yesterday. I mean, we have 2 Russians who are in second and third. Kukushkina and Kamainchikova. They both went clear, putting all the pressure on Yana Marquez.
Yeah.
but how well Marquez
Yanni
responded.
was amazing yesterday. She really, that's another one who's really improved her riding. I think that, you know, as a pentathlete, you kind of look and you have to see what your weaknesses and what your strengths are and focus more of your attention on your weaknesses. And Yanni has really gone back and she's really improved her riding. competing, and I think she's a great rider and great all-around athlete. I love it when she does well.
But she beat you just about bronze medal in London, didn't she?
She did, and I mean,
bring that up.
oh no, I mean it's a sensitive subject, but Yanni and I have been competing together ever since I first started pentathlon. I remember going to South American Championships in 2007, and Yanni has always been a dear friend of mine. I remember at Pan American Games in 2011, which was our direct qualifier, we started, she was in first and I was in second. And she said to me, Margot, if I win, I'll be happy, but if you win, I'll also be happy. And I've kind of felt the same way. If I'm not going to win, I like Yanni to win, because she's a great person and one of the sweetest people through the core that I know.
And it was a stunning finish yesterday, wasn't it? I mean, with Asatoskaite, I mean, how did she make up? Almost 1 minute and 10 seconds.
She is amazing at the combined. I mean, she shoots so quickly and, I mean, can just run her way around a course. It was really incredible. She's been so consistent as well. I mean, ever since her win at the Olympics, really. I think it gives you confidence, and I think that confidence, especially after winning the Olympics, it can go one of two ways. You can take the confidence and roll with it, or a lot of people come back and they're quite nervous because all of a sudden you have all that pressure. And she seems to have taken it and really made the best out of it and has done amazing. She's had a great year, and I'm sure will continue to have a good year as well.
This is Roman Dichkov out on the course, and he's gone clear so far. Has had a lot of problems this season with his riding. Very good swimmer. Not quite in the Jamie Cook or Amro Elgarezi mode, but still more than competent. And he's just 3 minutes away from going clear. Oh, shame.
See, you can't speak too soon.
Yeah. Just a little bit of a lazy horse, really. I mean, just...
I would say the horse was a little bit lazy with his back feet. I think he might have gotten a little excited. You really have to ride the last fence like it's the first. I think for me personally, I would have tried to release a little bit over the fences, especially when I know a horse has lazy back feet. But towards the end of the course, the horse was definitely tired and getting a little lazy on his back feet.
So that is part of the problem for the riders right up at the top, because these horses have been ridden before and they're going to get tired and don't have the same recovery time.
It can be a benefit to ride second, as your horse has been out here. You kind of see how somebody else rode it, but it also can not be good if your horse had a really bad first round. Then your horse goes out there and they might be a little bit nervous. So go one of two ways. But here on the course we have Amro
Elgarezi from Egypt. Very experienced campaigner.
Very, very experienced and great rider. I am not familiar with this horse, but should give him a good ride.
So Amro Elgarezi out on the course. Again, he's just someone who's really let by his combined. He's such a phenomenal athlete in the other three disciplines, the fencing, in the swimming, obviously of course in swimming, and he's a very good rider as well. But just if he could try and somehow improve his speed around the course, I mean, he would be a top 5 athlete.
I think it's not so much his running that's the problem, as his shooting. I think that he gets nervous, and when we shot 20-shot precision, he really struggled with shooting. I wasn't sure if the combined would be better or worse for him, but I really think that, fortunately, shooting is one of those things that you can always improve on. It's not like running or swimming, where the older you get, it's a little bit harder to improve. But I think that if he can just get his shoot, I would say, under 15, 20 seconds, he really has a good chance.
So first knockdown there for Elgarezi.
He's riding this horse very, very well. Of course, I don't speak Russian, but from what I understand, it sounds like this horse had problems yesterday.
Yeah.
But that was
That's
a
very
great
good ride.
ride
That's
for
an excellent
Omar
ride.
Al-Jaziri. That
And
was
keeping
really
himself-
wonderful ride.
And giving himself more than in contention going into the combined. Just the final rider to go, Alexander Lissoun. Well, Lissoun's had some mixed results this season. First in Palm Springs, 27th in Rio, 7th in Chengdu, and 20th at the World Cup final in Nizhny Novgorod. You a bit surprised by Lissoun? I mean, or do you think it's a generation change with the likes of Valentin Prat winning in Nizhny Novgorod, Jamie Cook winning in Budapest?
I do think that it's a little bit of both, honestly. You are seeing a lot of the young up-and-comers, especially since it's the year after the Olympics. I think that a lot of the older athletes, especially the athletes that competed at the Olympics, I don't want to say they're taking it a little bit easier this year, but it's kind of the year for change. So you are seeing a lot of the younger athletes coming up, a lot of the older athletes kind of deciding whether or not they're going to continue with pentathlon. But Lusun has been, I mean, although he didn't have a great competition in Nizhny Novgorod, I think that he is one of those athletes that it can go either way. He's a great fencer. I would say that he's solid in all of the other events. So it really depends on how well he can fence, and whether or not, of course, riding is anyone's guess.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we've seen I think this season his main downfall has been riding. I mean, in the fencing here, I mean, he had 36 victories, just 10 defeats. Really picked things up down the stretch. To take victory in the fencing, but we'll see how he gets on here, and it's a decent start.
Lusun is a great rider. I would think he needs to keep his horse straight to these fences. It looks like he got a little too far to the right going over jump number 4, but he can keep him straight and keep his leg on. I think that this should be a good ride. Of course, like I said, I don't want to speak too soon, but...
Tempt fate. Commentator's curse.
Oh, yes.
So it's not fence number 8.
I had a commentator ask me once what was my greatest fear before the ride, and I said it's going off course. I then went off course in that same ride, so commentator's curse for sure.
Well, Lusun picking up his first knockdown.
Number 11, 8, 9.
That was fence number 10 with a knockdown. So
I should know that. I wrote it yesterday.
He's coming into
Keep
the
him
triple.
straight to this fence. It should be.
And he's over. So, quick time, 1 minute and 2 seconds, just for one knockdown on that fence number 10. And Lusun, pretty sure will maintain his lead going into the combined.
Looks like he was frustrated by that one rail, but in my opinion, it wasn't his fault. I think his horse just got
It's a lazy leg.
Yep.
Bit of a approach wasn't perhaps as straight as he might have wanted.
I think the horse was a little bit hesitant as to whether or not he really wanted to go over the fences.
Yeah.
So I think it took a confident rider to get him over and get him straight to the fences and be sure that you kept your leg on. But I think that Lusun rode really well. I'd say all of the last few riders rode really well. I was really impressed with the Amaros ride. It was really phenomenal.
So Lusun out in first position. He'll start first in the combined, 12 seconds ahead of Robert Kasha from Hungary. Amro El-Ghaziri in third place. But really, I mean, there's a lot of Russians there, but really anyone within a minute. And Lukács even, for instance, got a phenomenal combined.
You know, even down to 10th, I'd say Ricardo De Luca, Thomas Daniel, Kinderus, looking at 10, 11, 12, these guys all have really great combined.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, we saw Kinderus in Nizhny Novgorod. I mean, the way he managed to get himself up into second place.
and with shooting, I mean, in the combined, really to make up, I mean, even down, I mean, you see Valentin Prods here, Peter Taboya, they all have great combines as well. I think that this is probably going to be one of the more exciting combines we'll see here today, because a minute and 22 seconds, even up to a minute 30, a minute 43, you saw Adam Morosi come back from 16th in Nizhny Novgorod to finish in third with, I think he started maybe a minute 40 something back. So it's really, it's great. It's crazy.
Okay, well, we'll be back in around half an hour or so, and we'll have the combined. For the moment, for myself, Richard Van Poorvliet, and
Margot Saxon, you guys have a great day.
And we'll join you in a few minutes.
Bye.
Goodbye for now.
Итак, кто хочет бороться за приз 45 000 рублей, приезжайте ко мне, потому что далеко я перенести не могу, у меня микрофон не будет там работать. Вот сюда, на этот край трибуны, все, кто хочет бороться за приз, занимайте места, мы сейчас отберем 17 соискателей приза от Пинбанка. Пока народ подтягивается, я напоминаю, что призовой фонд группы составляет 100 000 американских долларов, и мы с вами, к сожалению, за этот приз не боремся, за него борются лучшие пятиборцы мира, а нам Пинбанк предоставил возможность разыграть 2 раза по 45 000, один сертификат мы вчера разыграли, сейчас разыграем еще один. Приближайтесь, подтягивайтесь, все могут участвовать, даже спортсмены, выступавшие вчера, разрешено все, у меня не было никаких групп, что могут участвовать только зрители, связанные со спортом. Вот все, кто остался на дальней части трибуны, вам либо деньги не нужны, поэтому вот среди этого малого количества зрителей я сейчас буду выбирать тех 17, которые поборются за приз от Пинбанка. Все, и кто-то еще хочет участвовать, у вас еще есть последняя возможность переместиться сюда, потому что сейчас начнется все самое интересное. 17 человек будут отобраны мною, чтобы подняться на сцену и попытать свое счастье в борьбе за приз от Пинбанка в размере 45 000 рублей. Естественно, на рынке указывайте меньше, потому что по закону России это будет включено налог, по-моему, в размере 35%. В любом случае деньги неплохие. Это как за всех, кто хотел бороться за приз, да? Присаживайтесь, на него набрасываться не надо, это вам не поможет в любом случае. Итак, чтобы подняться на сцену, если кто-то был вчера на соревнованиях, вы могли все это слышать, кто-то не был, пришел только сегодня, но в любом случае вы наверняка слушаете, что мы определяли, когда приглашали спортсменов. И я отберу 17 человек следующим образом. Почему 17, я вам сейчас скажу. Просто в Кубке Кремля в этом году принимают участие спортсмены из 17 стран. И сейчас все самые люди, кто первый назовет мне каждую по одной стране участницы Кубка Кремля, поднимется на сцену. Говори. Россия, поднимайся на сцену, номер 1, я вычеркиваю, чтобы не перепутать. США, поднимайся. Беларусь, поднимайся. Друзья мои, присаживайтесь на трибуны, не надо ко мне подходить, не надо на меня наваливаться. Так, Франция, поднимайся на сцену. Германия, поднимайся на сцену. Украина, поднимайтесь на сцену. Австрия, поднимайтесь на сцену. Девочка, поднимайся.
Hello and welcome to Moscow for the Kremlin Cup. Well, the World Cup series has finished with the final in Nizhny Novgorod earlier this month. But with the World Championships coming up in August, it's good preparation for the competitors. Well, we had the women's event yesterday, which was won by Yanni Marquez in a sensational final where she just held off Laura Astuskaite. But it's the turn of the men. Good fields, 24 athletes, featuring some very, very strong competitors like Alexander Lissun, Robert Kasha, and Justin Iskinderis, who finished in second place in Nizhny Novgorod. I'm delighted to be joined by Margot Isaksen from the United States.
Hello, world. How's everybody doing? Here in beautiful Russia, enjoying the sunshine.
Well, Margot, you were in Russia very recently. Glad to be back.
I am glad to be back. I mean, Russia's always puts on a great show as far as pentathlon's concerned. It's really wonderful. I mean, Kremlin Cup is such a great opportunity. It's really nice that they host this every year. And, you know, a good way for pentathletes to get together, have a fun competition, and earn some money.
Absolutely. Well, we can pick the action up in the fencing with Roberto De Luca from Italy. How difficult is the fencing? Because it really is a battle of endurance, really, isn't it? Because, I mean, you've got so many bouts. You've got, I mean, 46 bouts, I think, over in all.
Right. I had somebody describe it to me once as a physical game of chess. So you're constantly thinking it's tactical. You fence everybody, you know, you could fence this person a little bit differently than you fence everybody, and you try to have your plan going into it. All right, well, I'm going to do this action, and hopefully they'll react like this. And of course, not everybody always goes like that, but it really is difficult. And every bout you get nervous. You know, you fence 35 bouts, and every one is like a new battle. So you have to like hype yourself up, and it really, I mean, but it's so much fun, and it makes pentathlon it makes pentathlon what it is. So it's great fun. I love the fencing most of the time, unless I'm not having a good day, and then it's just like 35 bouts of pure hell.
But absolutely, I mean, how difficult is it, for instance, if you get in a losing streak, if you've just lost, I don't know, 3-4 bouts on the trot, I mean, how difficult is it to pick yourself up mentally, to psych yourself up, to get back onto winning
For
terms?
me, it's incredibly difficult. You know, my coach will always tell me, all right, every bout's a new bout, you gotta pump yourself up, don't remember what just happened, you gotta let go of the past and move forward. But as you see yourself falling down the leaderboard, and every touch you lose, somebody told me yesterday, I lost 2 bouts in a row, they're like, you just lost 40 seconds in the combined. So you're like, think about this, and you try not to, but it's, you know, it's inevitable. You're thinking about your results, and, you know, every touch really, you kind of like start equating it in your head, or at least I do. So you can definitely get down on yourself. Try not to, but you got to do the best you can.
Well, that man there, Alexander Sun, had a fantastic fencing, 36 victories, just 10 defeats, really picked it up down the stretch, winning a lot of bouts, laid on to propel himself up the standings. And as you're saying, you can pick up a lot of seconds in the fencing, if you can,
Right.
especially with Sun. I mean, he won by 6 bouts in all,
Right.
and that's a lot of seconds.
Right. Well, you have to take note too. So they just doubled our score. There were only 23 bouts,
Oh,
24 competitors. So what they did was just
they doubled it.
it.
Yeah.
So I guess only 5 defeats, which really makes it even more incredible. And here, every touch was worth a lot, because it was worth 2 touches in a normal competition. So it was really, you had to be on top of your game, and every touch you lost really made a huge difference.
That's Ilya Frolov on your screens, another good Russian. I mean, Frolov's been around for a long time. And you have to feel a bit sorry for Frolov, really, with the likes of Moiseyev and Lasun grabbing the headlines. I mean, he didn't even make the Olympics last year for an athlete of his caliber.
It was really incredible. I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but going into the Olympic year, I think the Russians had maybe 1, 2, and 4 in the world. So yeah, for Frolov to not make the Olympic team, you know, Frolov was first at World Championships. Moiseyev was second. He was the reigning, you know, double Olympic champion. So having to compete against these guys, any of these guys could win World Championships, could win a World Cup. There's Sergei Karyakin, who unfortunately I hear is injured, but also he's a world champion as well. So to have such a strong team, I think it can benefit you, and that obviously you have these great people to train with, and they're always pushing each other to be better. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, Frolov I think has kind of been pushed to the back burner lately, which is such a shame, because he's such an incredible athlete.
We've got the little-known German here, Stefan Kollner, not the greatest fence for him, and that's the thing. I mean, you can have a poor fence. I mean, we saw that with Lasun in the Olympics. Didn't get the greatest fencing results, and that really sort of left him too much to do. Well, Kollner here with just 7 victories and 16 defeats. That's
That's a rough day. I mean, I've had a competition, a World Cup in 2009 in the semifinal, actually fenced for 4 touches, which I didn't even know was possible. I think that I could have closed my eyes and probably hit someone better if I hadn't tried. But fencing in general, but especially pentathlon fencing with 1 touch, if you're just, you know, a half a second late with your reaction, even less, your day can be completely ruined, because you only have 1 touch, the slightest mistake, and it's over. So especially with the men, really, the men are so fast. All of these guys are so talented and so quick that if you have a bad day, yeah, it's, I mean, as evidenced by poor Kollner today, I mean, it is what it is. It's pentathlon, and sometimes you have good days, and sometimes you have bad days.
But of course, you're fencing against these guys pretty much almost month in, month out. I mean, you must be so familiar with them, but can you learn sort of tactics about how to fence against certain opponents?
You absolutely can, and in pentathlon, you see a lot of the same top people at competitions. But you have to remember, as you're evolving your strategy, the other athletes are evolving their strategy as well. So pentathlon keeps you on the edge of your toe, on the tips of your toes. And I've always said there are really some amazing ladies out here. And just when you think you're kind of getting the hang of everybody, then somebody one-ups you. So it makes the sport exciting, and you can never get too comfortable because you're constantly pushing yourself, and you have to be constantly on the top of your game.
Well, it was Robert Kasha who was second, and we can hear from him now.
I always want to win because this is why I came to win, and every against someone, I just want to get his touch. I mean, collect the points. Yes, no, actually there is a lot of disciplines yet. I mean, the swimming and all of the stuff, and honestly, I'm second, and if I can reach the podium at the end, I will be happy.
So just confirmation of the results after the first event. Alexander Lissun out on top with a very creditable 36 victories and 10 defeats. Well, that's halved, of course, so just 5 defeats for Lissun. Bit surprised to see Valentin Prads, who won in Nizhny Novgorod, so low down on the standings. As we can move to the swimming pool. Well, swimming, I think it's a lot of modern pentathletes come from a swimming background, as I understand.
You can pick up a lot of points in swimming. I mean, you'll see some people, Nick Woodbridge, Jamie Cook, for example. I mean, if they can hold their own in the fencing, they can just skyrocket in the swimming because they're such amazing swimmers. Amro El Jazeer, of course, he's a great fencer as well. But, swimming is something that unfortunately, it's not my best event, but it's so hard, my goodness. And I look at these incredible athletes, and like Cook, for example, or Amro, who can just zip down, down the pool. It's really incredible. It leaves me in awe for sure.
Well, Pate winning there. Lissun, good time for him. Sorry, it's Lissun out in front. So he was 8th overall after the swimming, Alexander Lissun. So keeping himself well in contention, and we can pick the action up in now the penultimate heats, featuring Robert Kasha and Ilya Frolov, and also Justin Skinderis, who of course was second at the recent World Cup final in Nizhny Novgorod. Just getting off the blocks. Does it help sometimes when you're competing in a faster heat or a slower heat? I mean,
I think it's a little bit different for everybody. I think everybody seems to think that if you're in an outside lane, for example, you're getting everybody else's wake. But I've had some of my best races in an outside lane when I've had people to push me. You know, maybe I was put in a faster heat than me because obviously you see the field leaving you behind, and you're going to give it that extra.
Exactly. Yes, you want to catch them up, don't you? I mean, you're completely motivated. But this is the top heats featuring Nick Woodbridge and of course Amro El Gaziri.
You saw Amro in Nizhny Novgorod actually beat Cook, which was just amazing. He came from a little bit behind. I think it was a body length behind going into the last 50 and just crushed it. It was really amazing, and I always get super excited to watch the last heat because you never really know what's going to happen. And you have, I would say 3 really amazing swimmers in pentathlon, and anybody can take it. They always leave you in awe. It's just a great race.
Clouvel, of course, in the women's.
Oh, she's amazing. I tell you what, she swims faster than most of the men. She's absolutely incredible, that one.
Well, hopefully we can hear now from Amro El Gaziri. Still very much in contention.
It wasn't one of my best swimming today. I was 159. My best weight is 155, so it was a little bit slow for me. It's a very tough competition. Fencing was really hard, so I hope this will be better.
Very modest words from, I mean, I'd be more than happy to swim 1 minute 59, but...
Yeah, me too, for sure.
So just confirmation of the results. Lissun out on top with Al Gaziri in second. Well, Valentin Prads, unfortunately, is still way down in the standings in 21st.
You know, Valentin Prads is such an incredible talent, and I think that as far as his fencing, I really think he will be a great fencer. He is a great fencer, but I think as you see him mature as an athlete, he'll probably be more consistent in his fencing, because right now he's just young, he's new to pentathlon, and a little bit inexperienced, but you're going to see great things from him, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember that World Cup final, and his shooting was just sensational. I mean, for such a young athlete, there's so much pressure on him.
But, you know, and I was actually, I don't want to say surprised, surprised, but I think I was quite interested how he would handle the pressure, because you've seen him with some really amazing combined competitions, but going in first position, it really puts the pressure on, and people can handle it. You know, you handle the pressure differently. So to see him handle himself with such poise and grace going into the combined in first place really was very impressive, and I think really put his name on the mark.
Well, we can pick up the action with the riding now, and Blagoy Dimitrov from Bulgaria really set the modern pentathlon world alight. Never really managed to get onto the podium. But we've seen, unlike in the women's, where a lot of the riders actually managed to go clear. I mean, I think in the top 10, there was only one rider who had under 1,100 points. In the men's event, we've seen quite a few riders had a lot of problems on the horses. Is it a bit surprising, just the difference between the men's and the women's events?
I can't really comment on that, just because I'd have to review the horse list from today. As far as yesterday, there could have been different horses in today that there were yesterday, but I mean, it is an experience, and for me, for example, I don't think that I rode particularly well yesterday.
Well, just for one knockdown. I mean, that's not too bad.
Right. Well, I mean, as far as the score is concerned, but for me personally, I wasn't really pleased with how I rode this particular horse. That being said, I do think that some people just get along better with different horses. For example, my horse in Rio, for some reason, we bonded, and we had a great ride together, and the rider that had him after me, unfortunately, really struggled. So it could just be the different personalities. Sometimes it's just like people, you know, sometimes you just don't get along.
Exactly. Well, Blagoy Dimitrov not really doing his chances any good. He's already picked up 3 knockdowns. He's going to pick up a lot of time penalties as well, as he,
had a little fall off there.
Thankfully, he'd finished the course, so no penalty points for him, but yeah.
I think it looks like he's all right. I'm sure a little bit more bruised his ego than he actually, I don't think he got hurt, fortunately, so he fell down to 16th, 16th, correct?
Yeah.
So 9:44. It's really, with the rails, worth 40 points now. That's exactly 10 seconds in the combined. And the rails, you really do have to be careful. I think that it's put a lot more emphasis on riding. You really have to go out there and know what you're doing, as opposed to just bullying your horse to get over the fences. And I think it's, for me personally, I really like the change. But 40 points is an expensive mistake.
But it also credits those riders who are actually good riders, because
it does. I think the idea behind it was that it would actually benefit good riders, as opposed to just leaving the field completely equal and making it more about luck. I was told before that it didn't really matter too much about rails as long as you got your horse over the fences. But now you have to be, it's better for the horses. I think you have to be kind, but you have to really focus. You have to go out there with a plan, as opposed to just running your horse through the fences.
Well, this is the South Korean, Woo Jin Hwang, on the course. Koreans have really picked up in modern pentathlon over the last few years. He's got great facilities on offer, but doesn't seem the most confident rider. It's quite high up with his grip on the reins.
He does. I think it seems like he's a little bit unsure of himself. It seems like he is using the reins to kind of balance himself.
Exactly. So you're holding the horse's mouth, really, which is very nice for the horse.
And it does. It's really unkind to the horse. The horse feels you bouncing around up there, pulling on the horse's face, and his initial reaction is, well, if you're not going to be nice to me, I'm not going to be nice to you. So
it works both ways. And then, unfortunately for Hwang, not going too well so far. He's had a number of refusals. Not the greatest.
Little bit softer now, as he has kind of learned to sit in the saddle. He does. I mean, it's important that you don't have your hands on the horse's neck, because you don't want to be falling on the horse either. But his hands are a little bit too far up, which, as you see there, he doesn't have very good balance.
Just wasn't in control going into the jump. And again,
it's really important when you know your horse is a stopper like that, that you sit in the saddle. And my coaches always tell me it's better to get left behind than to get too far in front of the horse, because if you get too far in front of the horse and think the horse is going to jump, a lot of times you can get sent off over the horse's head. So he's lucky he didn't have a fall there.
Well, too many refusals for the Korean, Woo Jin Hwang, so left with 0 points from riding, which has pretty much effectively ended his hopes in this 2013 Kremlin Cup. Well, up next will be Ilya Frolov, the Russian. And the Russians have had quite a few problems this season with their riding in both men's and women's disciplines.
Yes. I mean, a lot of it's luck of the draw. Like I said before, I really think that a lot of it comes from they haven't been riding as long because they've been focusing on other events as well. But as you've seen the rule changes, I guarantee you'll see people really improving the riding. I think you look at the Kremlin Cup next year and you're going to see people out here that are really great riders because you're going to have to be.
And also with combined, because there's been quite a lot of changes to modern pentathlon over the last few years. Also with combined, the dual discipline without the separate shooting,
right.
And the running just combined. I mean, was it hard for you to adapt to that? Or because you're one of the younger athletes, was it kind of easier because you weren't so...
I have been doing the combined longer than I did the precision shooting. I really started pentathlon in 2007. Late 2006 was when I was first introduced to the sport. I preferred the traditional, the 20 shot. I was much better than I am with the combined. My shooting, unfortunately, I'm not a very fast shooter. So for me, the combined wasn't the best change, but I'm adapting, and I do think that it was really good for the sport. I think that it makes the sport a lot more exciting. It makes the sport quicker. The spectators seem to really enjoy it. So I do think that it was a good change. I just need to work on my shooting, which is something that it seems like it's all in my head. So.
Oh, an excellent ride by Ilya Frolov as return to the action. 1 minute. The times are well inside that time limit of 1 minute and 9. And no knockdowns, so Frolov well in contention going into the combined. And he's got a decent combined as well, so we'll see how he gets on.
I think the time was very lenient.
Yes.
Unless you had any major mistakes, I think that nobody really went over the time allowed. So it's nice to see Frolov ride well.
Yeah, but he's had his problems. I mean, in Palm Springs in the mixed relay. I mean, he had over the forward refusals, was forced to leave the course, and he's had problems as well in the individual events during the season. So yeah,
I think the Russians, they train really hard in the other events, and I mean it shows. They have phenomenal athletes, but they kind of put riding on the back burner. But like I said, with this new rule change and rails worth 40 points, I think that everybody's taking a second look and putting more emphasis on their riding training.
But I think you did actually make a very interesting point about the need to make it more TV friendly. And I think that's certainly, because if you have it in such a more compact space of time, you'll get more viewers who'll watch it.
Yes. I mean, it's hard. Any pentathlon lover, I mean, even myself, it's hard to sit all day and watch pentathlon unless you're a very devoted fan. You know, people will come here and there. So I think the goal is to get the competition in under 4 hours. I think in Rio, in the Olympics, they're hopefully going to have everything in one stadium so everybody can come and watch, and you can watch fencing, swimming, riding, and the combined all in one place, which would be really amazing.
I mean, are there particular venues which you like competing at, and sort of venues which you don't particularly like?
Pardon?
The venues, for instance, are there events which you really like competing at, which you look forward to?
Honestly, I think Russia, Hungary, for me, just having all the spectators here, pentathlon are huge sports in both of those countries, and you have the crowd and you can hear them go wild. And so they've done a really nice job. Normally they have all of the events in a spectator-friendly place and you know, 1 or 2 places and 1 or 2 venues. So I really enjoyed competing here. Like you can see in the Kremlin Cup, I mean, we have our riding and combined here, and you'll hear the crowd go crazy. In Nizhny Novgorod, they really did a great job, and the crowd was cheering for you. I felt like such a celebrity. You know, there were kids coming up asking for your autograph. It was so cool. I was like, wow, people know what pentathlon is here. It's amazing. So it's really cool.
You can walk down the streets of Colorado Springs and no one would have a faintest idea who you are, probably.
Unfortunately not, no.
So you're looking for the limelight.
Yeah, exactly. Looking for the limelight, right.
That's a good ride as well from Maxim Kustov, keeping himself well in contention. Another young Russian, Maxim Kustov, from Izhevsk, which is actually the home of Kalashnikov rifle. He's been in Moscow for around a year and a half, and really one of the great new hopes of Russian modern pentathlon. And now, up next is Robert Kasha. And great to see him back after his injury problems.
Oh, really great to see him back. It's hard to come back after an injury like that, a broken collarbone, and you lose a lot of your self-confidence, especially when it comes back to riding. And this is his first competition back, so you can tell he's probably a little bit nervous. I know that I sure would be. After I broke my wrist, I actually broke my wrist at Kremlin Cup 2 years ago. I had a really hard time. I've honestly been a little bit scared on a horse, and it wasn't even like a really bad injury. But it makes you a little bit nervous when you get on the horse for the first time and you're in front of people, and not only from a competition standpoint, because of course results-wise you want to do well, but it is dangerous sometimes.
Of course, yeah, because you're sort of falling from quite a height, and if the horse falls on you, then the horse is pretty heavy.
Well, and of course a horse is a living thing, so it's got a mind of its own, and it can decide that it wants to do what it wants. And truth be told, I don't think that you really have too much control over a beast that's 5 times your size.
Well, Kasia going very well at the moment. No knockdowns for him. Just the fall there, but managed to stay on the horse.
The Hungarians are all such great riders. He and Adam Marosi are really, really incredible.
And Lilia Genesi as well on the women's side. I mean, she's...
Yeah. I think that they really focus a lot on their riding. I think that the Hungarians probably have one of the best training programs, from what I understand, as far as just it being really balanced and putting equal focus, equal emphasis on all of the events. And I know Adam Marosi had a really bad fall in Mexico. I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly what year, but he broke his leg in several different places, and I think he went back and really worked on his riding. And I'd be willing to say he and Amro and probably Kasia are 3 of the best men's riders in the field, and it's evidenced in their riding. I mean, more often than not, they have great rides. Of course, you can get a bad horse or a difficult horse and not have a good ride.
We saw Marosi in Nizhny Novgorod.
Right.
I mean, he didn't really have the horse he would have wanted.
You give them a tough horse, and they'll get him around a course for sure.
I think the sort of the toughest of the toughest, but he did brilliantly in Nizhny, didn't he? I mean, boy, he managed to get that the distance back. I mean, going into the combined.
That was incredible. I think he was, what, 40?
Yeah, he was 45
seconds back.
47, I think, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. To be honest, I was, disappointed for him, because he's been so consistent all year, and I think he's medaled at every World Cup he's competed at this year. So to see him come back, talk about a fighter, really in pentathlon, you never know. In Rio, for example, I thought my day was over after fencing, but my coach told me, you have to keep fighting. You have to keep fighting. Every second counts. Every second counts. And then, of course, end of the day on top. But for him to come back, that was an incredible combined. It was just unreal. Yeah. It was really something that, inspired me, and I'm sure inspired a lot of other athletes as well.
Well, like yesterday's combined with Yanni Marquez and Laura Alsonskite. I mean,
incredible. It was really incredible. Laura and I started together. Unfortunately, I wasn't shooting with my own pistol, so coulda, woulda, shoulda. But to see her, it was amazing. She just took off. And I, of course, was very happy for Yanni. I really think she deserved it. All the girls were great yesterday on the top of their game. So World Championships should be interesting.
Absolutely. Well, those World Championships are coming up in August in Taipei. But just back to the action, and it's Roman Tychkov out on the course, and very good chance of going clear. Well, it's commentator's curse, unfortunately.
Speak too soon,
yes.
And that's what happens.
So perhaps a bit lazy of a horse there, or is it just not getting the back legs over those fences?
It could have been a little bit of rider error. I think the horse was definitely lazy with his backseat. I'm not sure if I'm getting the saying correct, but from what I understand, if your horse pulls rails with their front feet, it's rider error. If they pull rails with their back feet, they're just lazy.
Yep.
That's what they say. Of course, there's exceptions to that rule, but looks like the horse was just getting a little lazy with his back feet.
As well.
You could hear the horse breathing. The first rail he knocked with his front feet. The second rail he knocked with his back feet. I think he probably just got a little too excited. You have to ride the last fence like you ride the first one, and not forget that you have to ride every single fence with conviction.
And a bit of an experience from Tychkov. I mean, he's still a youngster. His first season competing out on the in the senior stage.
Yeah.
And you probably remember the mixed relay when Grimshaiti handed over to Tychkov a lap.
Oh my
Too
goodness.
early.
That was, I would like to say people probably don't understand this. If you're not out there on the field of play, but I've made mistakes before. I've turned off course in Palm Springs actually in 2011, and really, when you're out there and you're in the heat of the moment, it's really easy to get confused. And I think it was a mistake, not only, of Donata's, but also the coaches and Maxim as well. Or
yeah, Roman Dichkov.
Roman Dichkov, yeah. I mean, it was just an unfortunate. I really would have liked to see them do well in Russia, of course, but it happens. And moving on, and I'm sure they'll have many more good competitions to come.
Oh, back to the action, Amro El Ghaziri from Egypt, very accomplished rider.
Beautiful rider, really great rider, very kind rider, and very effective rider.
Looks like he's got a good horse, but I mean, also he has such experience.
Right. From what I understand, this horse had a rough couple rounds with the women yesterday. I think
Tereshuk, yeah, Victoria Tereshuk, yeah, she had a lot of problems.
A lot of problems with this horse yesterday, but this horse seems to be doing really well and seems to be bonding with Amro.
And around the course in a good time, just for one knockdown for Amro. Well, the combined not his greatest event due to shooting.
You know what? I told Amro yesterday, I have a feeling this is going to be his day, and I stick to it. So I'm really hoping that he can pull it off.
Well, we'll soon find out.
Great guy. He was a big help to my sister and I yesterday. We didn't have a coach here, and Amro actually warmed me up in riding yesterday. So he's a great guy, great friend of mine.
But it's great to have such a bond. I mean, that's one of the things I've noticed with modern pentathlon. The athletes get on so well.
Pentathlon, I don't know if it's maybe because it is a smaller sport, but the international community is very close. From what I've seen in other sports, really, we get along so well. Everybody knows everybody. We can all, go have dinner together and chat about the competition and, life and everything in between. So it's really amazing, and I love pentathlon. Especially, I think that was part of the reason that I fell in love with the sport as much as I did, is just the international community. When I lost my bags yesterday, Heplanov, the Russian coach, I mean, he had me kit for everything. He was calling everybody he knew, trying to get stuff, and so helpful, really wonderful.
Right, so this is the last rider on the course, Alexander Lissun. He's had his problems this season with his riding. Hasn't had perhaps the best seasons that he would have wanted. Got off to a great start winning in Palm Springs, but only 20th in the World Cup final.
Great athlete,
yeah.
He is. Great fencer, very solid in all the other events. I believe seeing somewhere that he shot for all 4 series in Nizhny Novgorod, 39 seconds, which is phenomenal. Unbelievable. I mean, if he could even get anywhere near that today, I think that he's got this thing won, assuming that he can, keep up the good ride. But
it's going well
so far, so good.
Yeah. Still clear. As he approaches this 8th fence. Sharp turn into fence number 9. Just clips the rail, but it's managed to stay on. It's the first knockdown for Lissun.
I would say for him, he's riding very well, and of course it's much easier to sit up here and tell people what he's doing wrong. Of course, I've made many mistakes in my riding. I would say I would have kept the horse a little bit more uphill. Run rail, it's okay. Kept the horse a little bit more uphill and kept a little bit better contact, and they might have saved that rail. But all in all, good ride.
An excellent ride by Alexander Lissun, and he will start well out in front. Oh, he'll start 12 seconds in front of Robert Kasha. Let's take a look at the replay. We go about fence number 8. That was the only knockdown for the Russian. Actually from Belarus. Joined the Russian team. He was still in his early 20s. As a really unestablished athlete, but has done phenomenally over the last few years.
No, he's done really well. Won World Championships the year before the Olympics. I think it was probably, he finished fourth in London, which I'm sure was quite a disappointment. I know, speaking from experience, 4th is probably the worst position to be. So I can imagine, like I said, quite a letdown for the world champion. But I'm sure he's continuing through Rio, and hopefully we'll see good things from him the next 3 years.
So just having a look at the handicaps going into the combined. Lissun out there, out in front. Robert Kasha in 2nd place. Justin Kinderis, someone with a very good combined. 1 minute 23.
1 minute 23. I mean, it's still a push, but with combined the way it is, especially with 4 shooting series, you really never know what's going to happen until that last shooting series going into the run is when you can only start to kind of like make your judgments. But really, I think going down to 10th, 11th, even, I mean, Valentin Prod's, of course, 210's a little bit of a stretch, but he could still make it into the top 6 for sure. I mean, all these guys are phenomenal, and everybody's so close that it should be a really interesting combined.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw Victoria Tereshuk yesterday. I mean, she was 2 minutes and 41.
It's incredible.
And I think she still finished in the top 10 or something like that.
She was 6th, I
So,
believe.
yeah.
Actually, I know, because we were running together, sprinting to the finish.
How difficult is it, though, when you're on the course, you perhaps have a lead of, say, I don't know, 10 seconds or something, and you know the athlete behind you is like an Asatoskaite or a Tereshuk, who are just phenomenal athletes. I mean, how difficult is it mentally that you know this person can catch you?
Well, for me, I like to think I can run along Asatoskaite or Tereshuk. Running's my strongest event. I think that there's definitely a moment in your mind, you know Tereshuk's coming up behind you, and you think to yourself, all right, can I do this? Is it worth it? I'm in a lot of pain. And then you're like, no, I gotta try. And so, of course, they get out sprinted at the finish line by Tereshuk. If she's great, she's got really one hell of a kick. So, but it's a little bit disconcerting when you hear Tereshuk. I think she's probably, for sure, the best runner in the sport right now. And, oh, she's fast. She's really fast.
Well, almost ready to get underway as Alexander Lissoun in your picture, the reigning world champion from Rome last year. Just remind you, he has a 12-second lead from Robert Kasha in second. Amro El Ghaziri, who Margot's rooting for, starting in 3rd place. And then a whole clutch of Russians are underway. Alexander Lissoun making his way to the shooting range.
Lissoun, fortunately, is used to the pressure. You know, he goes into a lot of competitions in first, so I think that, you know, you never really know, but his shooting is quite strong.
He's got plenty of time here.
2 minutes.
Kasha just making his way to the shooting range, getting his first shot away, and Lissoun away.
In 13 seconds.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad.
Yep.
Wish I could shoot like that.
Well, Kasha's having a very good shoot as well, while unfortunately missing with that 3rd. Amra going well as well. Rustov making his way to the range, and Kasha away in 18 seconds, so Lissoun probably...
I'm away in 14.
So Lissoun probably extending his lead over Kasha, and that's a very good shoot for Amro. I mean, as you were saying, he has his problems, where his problems lies, on the shooting range.
And then you have Frolov taking off, who is probably top 3 runner in the sport for sure. He's incredible, always has been a great runner, so I think that he'll be catching the field here pretty quickly.
Well, Frolov 31 seconds off the leader, Alexander Lissoun, who's opened up that gap over Robert Kasha by 5 seconds now to 17 seconds overall.
Keep your eyes on DeLuca, Daniel, and Kinderis. I mean, they're top 3 combined guys right there, and they'll be taken off out of here pretty quickly, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw Kinderis in Nizhny Novgorod. I mean, it's a stunning result to finish in 2nd place, by far the best result of his career for the Lithuanian. So, Alexander Lissoun out in front. Robert Kasha trying to make up some ground on him. Just coming into your picture. So we go past the 450-meter mark. How did you find the course? Did you enjoy running it yesterday?
I can't say I enjoyed it yesterday. Normally, I definitely would have enjoyed the course. It's very sandy. There's a lot of deep sand, so it's really hard. You can kind of get stuck and you feel like you're just spinning. I didn't have my spikes on yesterday, so I was wearing flats. So I was especially slippery, but the course I think is definitely designed for good runners, which is definitely was a benefit for me and will be a benefit for the good runners out here today.
But also, I mean, we've seen some courses, for instance, in Budapest. I mean, it was very undulating. There were a lot of hills. Do you much prefer a flat course?
I think that you'll notice the stronger the runners are in the host nation, the harder the running course will be. So if they're not traditionally strong runners, you'll see that the course might be a little bit easier, a little bit flatter, as where, you know, Hungary, the boys especially, are very good runners. You'll see harder running courses.
Yeah. Well, Alexander Vassoon making his way to the shooting range for the second time. Had a very good shoot first time out, around 13 seconds.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Lassoon won here last year.
Yes, he did. Yes. Yeah, he's the reigning Kremlin Cup champion. He was second in 2011 behind the reigning Olympic champion, David Svoboda.
Just gotta feel good to bring home the gold in your home country.
Yeah. So this is turning into a very good shoot for him. Just one more. And an even better shoot from first time out, away in 12.64 seconds. Robert Cash having a good shoot as well. Cash away in under 12. But still got a lot of ground to make up. Well, he's probably actually cut this gap.
Wow, Amro away in 11 seconds as well.
Yeah. So what's Amro had for breakfast? What's making him shoot so well?
It must be the Wheaties.
Oh, this has certainly opened up after that.
It's probably my power bars I gave him yesterday.
Well, Frolov away in under 11 as well.
Away. That's a great shoot for Frolov.
And he'll certainly be in with a chance of a podium finish. So 2 more shoots to go for the leaders.
You see DeLuca racing his way around the course. I think he had a rough first shoot, but one of the best runners.
Is he training in the UK?
I think he's, from what I understand, dating Samantha Murray.
Yep.
So he trains a lot in the UK, and I think vice versa. You know, she goes to Italy sometimes as well, from what I understand.
So Lassoon out in front. Kasha actually has cut the gap to 9 seconds now. I mean, the gap was 17 seconds before the first shoot. It's only 9 seconds. El Ghaziri just 17 seconds behind. So this first shoot actually seems to be quite a large gap between Lassoon and Machisa back. In fact, the gap's now only 5 seconds. Kasha making up ground on Alexander Lassoon. So this race is very, very open. Oh, Ghaziri 13 seconds behind, Frolov 16 seconds behind. So Lassoon has a battle on his hands. So Lassoon out in front. Kasha giving chase. Oh, Ghaziri in third. So when does it start to kick in, really, how tiring it is out on the course, normally?
Honestly, that depends on your fitness. It depends on your level of fatigue. I think the idea is that the first lap, for me, for example, I try to take the first lap a little slower so that on that last lap, you know, I can give it everything that I have.
We'll just break up for a second. I mean, this is a real fight on now for second place. Robert Kasha tossed about, holding on to second. Amro is neck and neck with Amro, and Ilya Frolov is there as well. So pressure really now on Lassoon.
So well. You know, I think that Lassoon's the kind of athlete that takes the pressure and thrives. You know, you see him shooting here. I think he's had 2 misses so far.
He's got 3 away, 4 away.
4.
Just a miss there. Oh.
There you go. I mean,
so Lassoon away. And another good time. I mean, he's shots pretty much every single time under 13 seconds. Frolov away in 10. Kasha also away in 10. Amro, unfortunately, having a few problems. But this race is not over, and Frolov powering past Robert Kasha. So it's Russia in 1 and 2 at the moment. Amro, El Ghaziri getting away from the shooting range.
It's a great race. You see Frolov picking up. Of course, I'm sure that Lassoon's feeling the heat. Kasha looks like he's hurting, but it's his first competition back. You know, I'm sure he had to take quite a bit of time off with his broken collarbone, but he's still powering through, and oh, it's going to be an amazing finish. Really no telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this final shoot, which will be coming up in around a few minutes' time, will prove absolutely crucial. I mean, what I was going to ask is, how much do you save? When do you start to slow down when you enter a shoot? Because obviously, you can't shoot.
I think everybody... I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you're sprinting in towards the shooting range, you
Right.
can't go there at full pace. Otherwise, your heart rate is so high that it's going to be very difficult to shoot.
I think that everybody has a little bit different tactic. You'll see a lot of people actually come down to a walk and shake out their arms before they shoot. For me, for example, I try to run in. I think the less time I have to think about shooting, the better. So I run in, you know, try to keep it up to pace. But yeah, it's a little bit different for everybody.
The back runners at the moment coming into the shooting range, but soon, Frolov has made up so much ground. Well, Frolov started some 30 seconds off Lissoun, but they're now neck and neck. Kasha dropping back slightly. Gaziri in fourth place, Roman Dichkov in fifth, and DeLuca. DeLuca's made up quite a lot of ground as well. He started 1 minute 22. He's now
really
up into sixth place.
You see Benedetti making his way around the course, who is probably the best runner in the sport right now. You haven't seen much of him all year. I hear he took some time off after the Olympics and's been focusing on his swimming.
2 minutes and 37 off the lead, so perhaps could he produce... Oh, and Frolov has passed Lissoun.
Wow.
As we come in to the shoot.
Talk about a tough athlete.
Yeah.
Frolov just knows how to hurt, and it's going to make for an interesting last 800 meters. I think that if Frolov can keep his shoot together, that he should run away with it.
He's a quicker athlete, isn't he? And he's shot so well so far. I mean, 10 seconds in that last shoot was quite phenomenal. So let's have a look. Neck and neck at the moment. Miss for Lissoun. Or a costly miss for Lissoun, and Frolov opening up a bit of a gap. So I think it's going to be probably very difficult for Lissoun to catch Frolov, who's by far the quicker of the two athletes. Kasha getting
away.
And Amro El Ghaziri. Shame for El Ghaziri, shot so well in the first two shoots.
Shot so well. I mean, but that's a good sign, and he's still, had 3 misses now.
Having up his Frolov shoots.
El Ghaziri gets away. Hopefully he can hold off. I think it'll be, there's a big gap between fourth and third right now.
Yeah,
but
I think it's got too much to do, Amro, unfortunately, but that's the man in the lead. Ilya Frolov started 30 seconds behind the leader, Alexander Lissoun. But Frolov has shot brilliantly.
See, DeLuca's off in fifth. Has made quite a run up.
Just look at his stride. I mean, he's striding away. It's so quick.
See Timoshenko, who has an amazing combined as well.
Yeah.
Peter Taboya's off, who has an incredible combined. I know that he's had some problem with an injury in his foot, so not running normally as well as he would be.
See the gap now between the leaders. Ilya Frolov.
Valentin Prods is not looking as good as he normally does.
Yeah,
Looks like he's hurting.
He's not had the greatest of events, really. Valentin didn't get off to the greatest starts with his fencing, and
I said, he's young, he has so much talent. I will expect nothing but great things from him. Benedetti, his long legs, he just can run so fast, making his way around the course.
But to see Frolov coming into the picture. He's opening up that lead over Alexander Lissoun, and there's going to be nothing to stop Ilya Frolov. Just about 150 meters to go. Frolov just coming into our picture now, and he's going to take home first place.
He's got it.
A thoroughly deserved victory for a thoroughly likable man. Ilya Frolov winning here in Moscow. This
so exciting.
Last year's winner coming home in second. What a return.
Great run for these guys.
Robert Kasha back from injury, getting on the podium.
1-2 for Russia too. That's great. I'm sure that they can be so happy.
But what a ride.
And Amro El Ghaziri in fourth. He's got to be happy with that. I mean, I know he must be disappointed with not a medal, but I think he really did great today, and
Yeah, and it's great to see him getting his shooting,
Yeah.
Apart from those final two shoots. And hopefully we can hear from Ilya Frolov in a minute or so.
what a run for Ricardo De Luca
Yeah.
as well.
Coming home in 5th place.
Невообразимо. И ты бы видел, как переживал за тебя Моисеев. Он просто уже, когда ты бежал последний круг, упал вот практически на землю. Ты сам вообще ожидал?
When you were running about
Я
last
чувствую, конечно, безусловно, его
lap,
поддержку,
you
его
had Andrei
эмоциональный
Moiseev
стресс.
cheering for
Чувствовал
you.
всех болельщиков, которые кричали, помогали. Очень приятно.
Just want to say
Большое вам
thanks to all the
спасибо.
fans who are cheering me
Это
on.
непередаваемое ощущение, когда пробегаешь и трибуна взрывается
And it
возле
just gives
тебя.
you such an amazing feeling when you're running
Ну,
towards
у
the
тебя
finishing line,
действительно
just having all
хорошая
these
форма
people
была, потому что на
cheering you on.
фехтовании ты тоже шел в лидерах, а потом что-то случилось. Вот что случилось на фехтовании?
What happened in
очень
the
хотелось
fencing? I
выиграть.
mean, it's normally a very
Не
good
смог
sport
себя
for you.
перебороть уже, как бы скажем, эмоционально. Ну и скажу, соперники мне достались не вот прям чтобы простые.
I had quite a few
сделал
difficult
всё, что
rivals
возможно,
coming up
но
towards the
фехтование
end,
не
so
получилось.
that's
Чуть-чуть
didn't really
впереди.
help with my
Ну,
fencing.
смотри, у тебя такая победа, да, за долгое время, в принципе. Ты уже давно ничего так прям не
It's your
выигрывал.
first victory for quite a long
Что-то
time.
изменил тренировку или что случилось?
What
Или
has
уже
happened?
готов
Have you
сейчас
changed your
побеждать
training
и
methods or
никому
something
больше не
like that?
проигрывать?
Знаете, я, наверное, всегда готов побеждать. Вот,
I'm always ready
но
to win.
бывают такие ситуации, когда звезды не сходятся, когда сходятся.
There
Вот,
are just some
сегодня
occasions when things just don't go my
видно,
way.
что все было, прошло хорошо, вот, и я показал все свои результаты.
But
И даже
today-
больше могу сказать, что показал все лучшие результаты.
But today,
которые
just everything went for me, and I was able to show my best form.
Молодец, мы тебя поздравляем, спасибо.
Congratulations.
And that is the key to pentathlon. You know, there is 15 guys that can win. You know, I'd say 10 to 15 girls that can win on any given day. It's just getting all the sports to come together at the right moment. And that's what Frolov did today. Really incredible feeling competing in your home country.
Yeah, and getting a victory.
Frolov and Lassoon both held it together. They handled the pressure with grace, and what an amazing day for both of them. They should both be very proud.
Frolov's
Gosh.
shooting was just absolutely sensational today.
It was sensational, really, and I think that that's held him back a lot in the past. I think that that was his problem in Nizhny Novgorod, which, you know, I can definitely relate to.
Yeah.
So it's a great day for him.
Yeah, but he's had a mixed season. Ilya Frolov, 4th in Palm Springs, 8th in Rio, 8th in Budapest, 4th in Nizhny Novgorod. Very good results, but just not quite there. I mean, for someone of his ability, you'd be looking for sort of podium finishes a lot more from
Right.
Frolov.
Well, I mean, like Frolov just said, sometimes things just don't go your way, and I do think with his strong run, swim, and, you know, a fence, you can have a good day, you can have a bad day, but you'll see him consistently at the top of the leaderboard. So it's just getting all the pieces to fit together, and he's a great athlete and has shown many good results over the years, and will probably continue to do so.
Oh, just confirmation of the podium. Ilya Frolov in first place, Alexander Lassoon in second, and Robert Kasha of Hungary in third. Well,
Gotta- Sorry.
sorry.
No, I just said it's got to feel good for Robert Kasha to come back only a few months after his broken collarbone, after his injury, and to come back and, you know, take the bronze. It's really got to be an amazing feeling. He should also be very, very proud of himself as well.
Well, that wraps up the action from the 2013 Kremlin Cup. We've had a fantastic finish yesterday in the women's event, an equally interesting finish today in the men's. From myself, Richard Van Poorvliet, and
Margot Isaacson.
all the best, and thank you
До
for joining us.
свидания.
До свидания.
I touch and I forget to load and quick again.